All right, good morning, everybody. How we doing? It is officially hump day. Somewhat interesting price action this morning. Of course, let me go ahead and do all my my pre-market checks. All right, everything looks good to go. Not really, I'm on the wrong monitor. All right, there we go. All right, so let's get into this. It's pre-market insight. So on our calendar today, what's today, Wednesday? Got a few things. We had ADP non-farm employment change at 8:15. So coming up, we got ISM non-manufacturing PMI at 10. Who knows? Then maybe they'll use that, maybe they won't. And then crude oil inventories at 10:30. Let's go ahead and check out the power range report. For the NQ future sessions power range, we got a high of 15.44 3/4 with a low of 15.35. The sentiment I think it still is neutral. At the time of this posting, down 0.03%. Light volume of 45K and the ATR 179.05. Take a look at our chart. Alright, so you can see we had a little bit of hung around for a little bit in our neutral zone, traded a little bit higher and retraced back down, revisiting our session low support. We had this pivot here at the open of today's future session. Then we're seeing some buyers just hanging out down there. We got a little bit of support there. So overall sentiment is neutral. I wouldn't really give it a trending grade yet. Let's go ahead and see what the rest of the market is up to. More so bearish with ES. I'm just going to run through these quickly. We don't have any real changes on our daily, and that's across the board. Everything is with the index futures and crude and GC and the euro currencies. Everything is pretty much just range bound from a daily perspective, so I don't really have to go over that this morning. But let's see, ES intraday is more so bearish. What about RTY? What is RTY? Same thing with RTY. What is YM up to? Same thing with YM. All of those are pretty much identical in structure and price action. CL is also selling off, well below its power range. That's all I need to see there. And then gold is running up this morning. Nice little bullish trend in our pre-market. A lot of the buyers is really pushing this price higher with a lot of strength into what I call deep space. Now, deep space for gold and E6 or 6E. It's not necessarily the same as with like our index futures or like with NQ. So it could keep going, or but the way how parabolic this is looking, I do expect to see some sort of retracement or for it to find a range and hang out for a minute. And also E6 is bullish as well, above its power range, has a similar buying as DC, just not as strong. Just looking at it, giving it the eye test. All right, so that's our futures market pulse. Bearish with the ways we make money and bullish with the ways we spend money. Let me go ahead and run through my checklist one more time. Still got 8 minutes, about 8 minutes to the bell. Part takes care of itself. Always seeing the big picture. Don't forget about those higher time frames. They give us a lot of details, making sure that we're pulling the trigger on our setups. And make sure I'm recording this. So I give it a couple minutes for our snapshot. Let me keep this window up. So I can continue testing out trading in 2 different accounts this morning. Of course, my main focus is going to be on the Leeloo account. But just keep getting that practice, in for trading in 2 accounts. Build that muscle memory. Stay repetitive. So it just becomes, just second nature over time. We got nice support here at 1523. Give that a range to our session low at 1516. Turn this other music down that's in my ear. Speaking of music, then we run the playlist. Been working on my course lately, and when I get that done, I got some more music I want to work on, so we can add to our playlist. Get some different tunes going. I'm probably going to start, expanding this playlist in various ways also. All right, come on, DJ. I got some bulls coming in. Got 5 minutes before the open. We got structure here as well as our volume point of control, serving as resistance that they have to fight through. Also got a couple indicators in here. The only one I really care about is the VWAP. Also got a balance level. Looks like 1541.5. Got my PR50 kind of covering it up on this screen. So our buyers got some things to fight through before they can seriously take the price higher. So that's going to depend how strongly they come into the market, how aggressive they want to be with their positions. Also taking a verbal, giving myself a verbal note to remember to take screenshots for any trades that I get. Speaking of screenshots, we can go ahead and get that pre-market screenshot. I like to be as close to the open as possible. Gives me a good reference if I want to come back later and revisit today's session. Alright, so our buyers are really stepping in here before the open. Very interesting price action at this time. Our energy is flipping on the Delta board. Saw a lot of red in the pre-market, not strongly, stayed below negative 1,000, but now we have flipped positive in this last 30-minute window. Less than a minute. Thirty seconds. I'll be watching for it to see what kind of response we get at the bell. There's our open. If it wasn't so resource intensive, I would have Thinkorswim in the background just to give me the opening bell sound. I can do it with my mouth, like ding, 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 ding. All right, so. And now buyers are just ripping through all of these, this resistance. They are getting some pushback. Do have some selling going at the same time. Got a little battle zone going on up to our PR plus 1, our 200 SMA. And now we are right back down into that, going back into that, our power range low, into the range we had pre-market. Our pre-market range, and then right back up. So we're just gonna let this first 3 minutes play out. I'm not gonna, put anything on yet. Just gonna let this play out. Don't even really have a trade bias yet. Don't let them finish with that little tug of war. See what side of the power range they want to keep price, or if they want to keep it neutral. Of course, the overall trend is still bullish. feeling that. Let me turn myself up in the headphones. Yep, so I'm definitely hands off at this point. Now, I am still watching this balance level. You know, these balance levels, I do like to have a lot of, how can I say it? These are levels that I automatically, or that are almost automatic, you know, triggers for me. But I'm always led by price action. So, you know, price action is the number one thing for me. So all of my stuff has to line up. Also, this is a lot of noise in terms of our volume profile. So I don't really want to trade at this. It's not the best, the ideal setup. Say it again. My mouth still hasn't woken up this morning. It's not the ideal setup for, you know, what I'm looking for. So it looks like we're trying to have some momentum here in this next 3-minute period. Let's see if we can actually get follow through. And we're just still going to continue with the battle. This is definitely not the kind of price action that I would want to see for a breakout. So definitely just looking for a pullback. So as of right now, we still have a lot of participation from both sides. You see, as looking at this range, go ahead and refocus that. As they took prices higher, you know, we had sellers just jumping in here, making attempts to push it lower. We still got sellers, we still got buyers, all within this range. They really stepped in here at the edge of this range, of our pre-market range, and gave us a strong pushback inside the range. We are getting a response at our balance level right in the zone. We got a couple things lining up in the zone. So this is definitely the kind of activity that I like to sideline and just spectate. I turn into spectator mode. Like this, I don't want to jump into the middle of their battle. I may jump in at the edge of the battle, but not in the middle. Definitely don't want to get caught up in the middle of that. idea that I need to take a note of. Very choppy. We are still getting a response at our balance level at VWAP. What I could refer to as Wick City on our 3-minute, from our 3-minute candlesticks. And I kind of figured, looking at the pre-market action, there would be this back and forth type price action when I, woke up and I first looked at the charts. You can just kind of see that, get a sense of what we're headed into at the open. Now, eventually, this will come down and it will pick they will pick a direction. We're just accumulating right now and working things out. A lot of this could be also our market makers just taking care of business. I feel like we have a lot of volume. Doesn't really seem that significant as of yet. Looking at our volume and the delta, we're not seeing a whole lot of participation. An attempt to break higher. Let's say another attempt to break higher. And right back inside of our range. Out of curiosity, let me adjust the scale so I can see what we're really working with. Alright, so very small range. We've been hugging this balance level of 1541 and a half pretty much the entire session. Tried to pull away there and got sucked right back into it. Still getting a response at the balance level. So if I wanted to be more aggressive, I could, play that. That's not, the method that I'm using right now. But if I did want to be really aggressive, in hindsight capital is telling us that this balance level is playable, or has been playable. Of course, there will become a point in time where it is not. So I can really only make a reference to what we've already seen. That's not part of my plan this morning, so I'm not gonna. It's not what I was. It's not this. It's not the kind of price action that I wanted to call an audible in and try to do something completely different than what I was planning on doing. On a 1 minute time frame, we did got those last two 1 minute candlesticks that form an inside candlestick pair, which is usually a signal. But it's really zooming out and looking at it, we got a lot of those that didn't really take us anywhere. We got a lot of noise in this area. So in all honesty, I would like it to pop out of this range before I even really start looking for a setup. Now I like the way that 3 minute candle came in, so let's see what kind of, if we get some follow through. If they're ready to sell there, if they got enough inventory, they're ready to sell it back to the market. Or do they want to keep collecting? That last 3 minute candle would pique the interest of some buyers that are looking to take a break. Still got selling up here. And there's the break. And we're just looking for follow through. Not getting follow through as of yet. We're still just chopping around. Doesn't really look like they have a lot of inventory to sell off at higher prices. It took us right back inside of our range. This could be really good price action to take a lot of scalps. Just depending on your strategy, you can get at least 5 to 10 points out of this. Just play in that range. be a bad way to play it. Those 5 or 10 points, they do add up, especially if you're trading the full NQ size. Even a half of an NQ size, that'll add up with those 5 to 10 points. And just using the power of hindsight, we probably could have got at least $300 out of this range. So that would be within a 20-minute period, which is, it's not bad. So that sparks the thought that, you have a lot of people on podcasts and different platforms where they say that there's days where, just can't, it's just impossible to trade. And what we're really saying is there are days when their strategy is not, the price action does not fit their strategy. But there's always a, opportunity to make money each and every single day. You just it has to fit your strategy. It doesn't mean that you have to trade every single day. Capital preservation is solid risk management. So if there's a day that comes where your strategy just isn't in sync with the price action or what the sentiment of the market, then just don't trade and just wait for the next day. Like for me today, this is not really the kind of price action that I would look for my strategy. So I'm just completely hands off the trigger, and I can, get back in here tomorrow. I also have the option to trade later on. The market is open especially the futures market is open 23 hours a day. There's plenty of time to trade. I don't have to always be, doing something. I just need to wait for my setup. Wait for the market conditions to be right for my strategy, or whatever strategy that I'm using. We're right back at that balance level, seeing some buyers still hanging down there. Now we can look at that last push to break higher as they look above and fail. So we're getting some strong selling here. Excuse me. My T is working its magic. Definitely interested to see how this candle closes. Looks like we got a little bit of short momentum coming in here. Back into our pre-market support. About 5 points away from our session low, and our sellers are really stepping in here. It's like we're seeing an uptick in volume. Uptick in delta. then our buyer stepped right in there at that support and right back inside of our range. Still no signal from me. There's a whole lot of inside candles on the 1 minute, but they're not really worth taking. Our inside candlestick pairs. It's not giving me a good risk to reward ratio. See if they can take price back to the high of this range. Depending on how this last 10 seconds turn out. Since all those shorts piled in there, we had that strong selling that came in within the last about 9 minutes. I would expect to see some sort of follow through here eventually. It's not right away, but we got a lot of shorts in this that could potentially get squeezed if our buyers can apply enough pressure. Introduce some shorts into one way of looking at it is they introduce some shorts and a high in there is giving us a false breakout to build up some more inventory. this shape up for a breakout higher, for a break higher. Let's see if we can get some at the break and the follow through. Wasn't really my plan to take it. If I was to take it, it would have been at the high. Just looking at this 3 minute, it would have been at the high of that 3 minute with a stop loss, tight stop loss. It's at the low of that micro pullback, which is the low of this current candle. That is a bullish signal, not for me, not for my strategy, but that is a signal that people would, a typical bullish signal for a break. That last 3 minute candlestick pair. So if it doesn't work, then we know we got some bulls that are trapped. They're just really whipping the price around. Call this inventory building. And it's not really a surprise because we did get hints in the pre-market. We got hints overnight. We got hints with looking at the price action for how we opened up within those first few minutes. Which is why I wasn't that excited to really be aggressive with this strategy. However, though, I probably could have got a few scalps out of this, of course, in hindsight, but this is not the type of price action that I like to really trade. I like to have some sort of direction. I like the setup to be cleaner than this. I don't really like to trade in all this noise. In my more aggressive strategy, I would play the edges of this. I wouldn't play any of this within this range, inside of this range. So that last 30-minute period, or the previous 30-minute period, we did get 113 contracts traded. I think most of that came in like the last 10 minutes, once we started seeing this increase in volatility. So yesterday around this time, we started to get additional participation. Let's see if we get the same sort of situation today. Looking at it from a daily perspective, we are ripe for a break higher. So they could be building a position to be able to do that. Since we really haven't had a correction in a while, just looking at it from a longer, a bigger perspective, it's not as easy to, for them to don't have as much participation, to make these bullish runs all that easy. Our investors want to see the market, go on sale. So this is why we get the market correction, so we can introduce more participants into the market, more smart money into the market at lower prices. We also get more participation from people panicking and closing out their positions, giving their positions over to smart money. So that's why it would be really nice to get some correction. All right, so back to the low of our morning range. Again, we got buyers stepping back in here. Shaping up to be a no trade day for me. Just not getting the kind of signals that I want, or I'm not getting the signals that I want. There are signals, but I'm just not liking the setups. Another inside candlestick pair in our 1 minute. So looking at 1540 for the break higher, or 1523 for a break lower. And I had to learn to be patient on these types of days, because there was a time before to where these days would just end up with me giving money back. It was a different strategy, but so some of that is still lingering in there, if I'm being honest with myself. So we got there's the attempt to break higher that I mentioned earlier. If we're going to continue to hold this range, the way that they've been doing it, they haven't been giving follow through immediately. They'll break outside of these candlestick pairs, these inside candlestick pairs. Dip us back, kind of, give us a quick little retest of it, and then do what we're seeing right now. Slowly, choppily take the price back higher. And of course it'll be the reverse for the opposite side. while I don't like to trade these days, kind of like I mentioned before, you can definitely build a strategy around this. These days, this kind of price action structure doesn't really happen all too often. But you could have it takes a while to kind of get. I mean, you don't know, like, we really don't know in the moment if it's going to turn out this way or not. So, with enough screen time, you can kind of see it happening, the possibility of it happening. I'll put it that way. But you just, of course, just have a strategy for this type of for days like this in your back pocket, and then you can put it on if you see it. If you see the potential of having these tight range-bound days, but of course, with everything else, you want to have your risk management in play, so that if you're wrong, you can quickly identify that you're wrong. You don't have to take too big of a hit, blow your account out, or anything like that. But for me personally, I happen to find a real strategy to take advantage of stuff like this. Now, it's not necessary. You don't have to. For me, personally, it's definitely not necessary. I get plenty of opportunities for the typical price action that we're used to seeing. Since I'm brain dumping, if I was to trade this, one way I would trade it is, the way that I would do it is I would just pick a side. I wouldn't try to play both sides. I would just pick a side, wait for it to trade to the edge, and I would either anticipate the move and trade it really aggressive at the edge, kind of minimizing my risk if it continues to trade against what I'm thinking it could do. Or I would trade it responsibly, probably would use a 1-minute chart and just look for a takeout trade. So I do have I should have a YouTube video where I talk about the takeout position, or taking a takeout trade, the takeout method for entering into a position. So for instance, right here, I will let this 1-minute candle close, and then for the last idea that I expressed, let this 1-minute candle close, and then I'll be looking to respond with a takeout if I was trading it. Of course, these are just ideas. This is not advice for you to do anything particular with your account. Trading your account at your own risk. Do not take my advice. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. Alright, so we got a dip lower. Now we're trying to break out of this range. Let's see if we can follow through. Still got this pivot here. We haven't quite hit our session low yet. We got like a tick away from the session low where our buyer stepped in. So with that being said, since we know we do have some buying there, If we can break into that session low, the potential for a squeeze is there. And the more buyers, if we're trying to short this, the more buyers that we can see jump in here, the better. Alright, so to explain this on the right screen, pretty sure you already know what I'm talking about. So if I was trying to take this, our session low is here at 15, 16, 3.5. Yep. So if I was trying to take it short, if I was a short, this is hypothetical. If I was a short and I was trying to take this at, let's say 15.15 or 15.16, then the more buyers that we see coming in here trying to push this higher, just looking at our price action, that's the only thing we got to reference here, is the price action. Kind of see it in the delta too. The more buyers that we can see come in here, the better that is if we're trying to take a short to break below this range that we've been stuck in for a while. And the reason is that those buyers would, they would get stuck into this position, and we could squeeze them and get a nice little push lower. Assuming that they don't have enough of size to catch it at a lower price and then end up squeezing us, right? So it's chess, not checkers. Definitely got to keep all of this stuff in mind. Again, this is why risk management is preached so heavily by people who are really trying to teach the quote unquote right way to trade. So I do want to see how we break out of this area here. If we get another bounce higher, or if we do get that break lower. Anything is possible. Still got buyers stepping in here. There are sellers. Got anticipation from both sides. And yeah, I'm officially outside of my trading window, so I can go ahead and turn this sim mode back on. And I can remove this, don't need that anymore. I do have time today to come back and trade in the afternoon if I want. Probably won't. I got other stuff to do. Just trade tomorrow. So the picture is being painted to take us lower. Again, it doesn't mean that's what it has to do. We still got buyers, we still got buying at the low of this range. More inside candles on a 1 minute chart as expected. Turning into a pennant pattern. That is an inside candlestick pair on a 3 minute as well. I'm really keeping my eyes on the highs and low of that last 3 minute candle. Right there's the break lower, followed by some quick squeeze. Buyers are still stepping in here. A little bit of big bank takes little bank. But I don't, yep, there we go. And there's a squeeze. They're getting squeezed now. Of course, throughout this, I would expect some buying to happen. Or, yeah, I would expect more buying. We can have buyers buying from buyers or new buyers coming in. We can also have buyers from, or let me say that again. We can have buying from new buyers stepping in, or buying from our shorts taking profit, hitting their targets. We also have some shorts that jumped in here at these highs that may have held a couple positions or a couple of contracts, a percentage of their position through this, and also they have to buy to cover. So there's a lot of reasons that we can have some buying in here that would give us this little pushback. It doesn't necessarily have to be that we have new buyers coming in and are trying to, or another buyer in here trying to, you know, push this price higher. Of course, we have our major players that, you know, that gives us most of our size to move price. But, you know, our contracts, the other participants, our positions, they help move the price. We don't move the price ourselves, but it does help. All right. So with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap my session up for the day. Appreciate everybody for coming through, trading with me, and here listening to my perspective on the markets. Go ahead and cut that music off. Hope you have a good rest of the day, rest of your week. Have a good weekend. I'll see you on the next one. Trade it easy.